everybody. Thanks for this interview in the broadcast, Mexican broadcast. Anthony Garfunkel is the host in this night, and I am presenting to Manuel Castro from Chicago and the journalist Federico Campbel Peña. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.
The camera and the microphone are yours.
Okay. Well, everybody, good evening. My name is Anthony Garfunkel, and this is NBC, Mexican Broadcasting Corporation. Anything and everything that happens in Mexico, we let the world know. So we get started. We very fortunate to have today Federico Campbel Peña, which he has a record of helping migrants. This is going to be the theme today, since today it is the Migrants Day. And we also have Mr. Castro, Manuel Castro from Chicago. They do support migrants, and there's a coalition that advances their cause and what's needed. Federico, I'd like to start with you. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes, I'm a TV reporter in Mexico City, PBS, Channel 11, on migrant issues. Today, Friday, 18th December, is the Day of the Migrants, declared by United Nations General Assembly. And today, Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, did a statement on the migrant issue. And just 2 hours, Alejandro Encinas, under Minister of Interior in Mexico, just been in Tijuana, Centro Cultural Tijuana downtown, in order to make an issue on migrants. But political activists were outside of the Centro Cultural Tijuana Secut, protesting against the Mexican policy on migrants. Our friend Wilder Mateluz, Hugo Castro, they belong to Border Angels in Tijuana, moved to Centro Cultural Tijuana Secut in downtown Tijuana in order to protest against the Minister of Interior, Alejandro Encinas, just because he was accused by these activists as a puppet of Donald Trump policies on migration. Since 2 years ago, Mexican government changes its policy, and Mr. President López Obrador and Mr. President Trump, in a kind of, how call it, a queer issue, very strange, did the same policy on the caravanas of migrantes from Central America in order to stop them to cross into United States. That's going to be changed on 20th of January by Joe Biden. And Manuel Castro probably is talking on that, isn't it? Manuel, are you in Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm in Chicago, Illinois. Well, thank you for having me. And talking about Biden and immigration policy that he is presenting, I think it's kind of promising at the beginning. That's a lot of hopes for a lot of people here in the United States. A lot of people, they have a high hopes on the immigration policy that probably he wanna change and switch a little bit of what Trump is doing it in the past 4 years.
Federico, I'd like to ask you, the policy definitely needs to change. The outlook, the perception of a migrant needs to change. But I think, and I want your opinion, that there are more pressing issues that need to change immediately, and that we can act on those. What do you think, instead of waiting and rolling the dice and see what happens, bordering on the sin of speculation, what is there that we can do now, or that you recommend, that will help migrants that go from the US to their native land, to Mexico, migrants that enter Mexico, migrants that want to go to Mexico but they can't? What do you think can be done on certain issues right now? And what would be those issues?
For instance, the changes are going to be on the COVID issue. Just Kamala Harris announced it. Mr. Biden is going to be back with a vaccine on the next week, fortunately. And the other issues in the first 100 years is going to change those policies by DHS. He announced it. Biden promised it. And even to put a halt and a stop to the wall. That's just been announced. In Democracy Now, you can read it. democracynow.org. So our friend Amy Goodman. So the idea is to change this issue. And the Latino and Hispanic caucus is pressing on that, isn't it? Joaquin Castro from San Antonio. Did you know him very well, isn't it?
Yes.
And his brother.
Julian.
Julian is going to be in the cabinet, in the government?
We don't know. There's speculation, but we don't know. There's a lot of rumors about the people that are going to be part of the cabinet or what they're going to do. He's been on cabinets before, previously, but right now it's not out there yet, confirmed or otherwise. Manuel, I'd like to ask you, thank you very much, Federico. Manuel, what issues do you think, same question, that we can act now, that we can promote from our corner? You know, let me give you an analogy. Our boxer, the bell's gonna ring and he needs to get out there. We all know that, yeah, training, good nutrition, rest is vital for him to win. Not just that next round, but the fight. We are in the fight, all of us. The bell's gonna ring. What can we do now? You telling your boxer, yes, you need to exercise. No, right now, I'm gonna get out and fight Tyson. What do I do? Now, you got 30 seconds. And what can we do now? We got a little more than 30 seconds, but I think the bell's gonna ring soon and we need to get out there.
I think the main issues is the separation of the families. That is one of the big issues. Stop deportations, of course, all the time is a big issue. The students, the DACA, the Dreamers, the TPS holders as well. But I think last week there were like three in the judiciary system. There was three announcements, and they are basically throwing down good news on those three situations: the TPS holders, the DACA holders as well, and the people who is looking for a visas, humanitarian visas. If they get it, they are married with somebody, they can start to have a process to become have a certain path to be legal in the long term. Then I think those is probably the most important things right now. If you put it in that terms, like immediately emergency, you know, like in immediately respond, probably those are the more important. The DACA, stop deportation, the visa humanitarian holders, the refugees, the people who is looking visas for refugee reasons, and the TPS holders. Unfortunately, that's only the first ring or first part of the fight. But in reality, you know, in a long term of fight, there are many other, there's a lot of people that probably still is there, you know. It's probably those 3-4 things that are more important. But I think at this point, one thing holds another one. I mean, if that's something, if Biden is doing something for the dreamers, it still is not enough for the rest of the community, for the rest of the immigrant community.
Well, Texas just filed a lawsuit, if you don't mind me saying,
Yeah.
Against DACA, allegedly saying that that was unconstitutional. So we're going to get a lot of that stuff. You know, Texas was the one that went in front of the Supreme Court trying to overturn the victory. So there's a lot of things coming like that, but it makes noise. I want you both to hear what I'm going to say and give me your opinion. When I said the bell's going to ring and your fighter needs to get out there, this is Christmas coming, New Year's, Los Reyes, a time in which business in the U.S. is going to slow down for some people. That's when our migrants, which have been called by the president of Mexico heroes, living heroes, go to Mexico. The issue on the bell and they getting on the fight that I was thinking that we need to act on immediately is when they go to Mexico, their kids, their children, who were born in Mexico but were raised here, if they marry somebody other than a Mexican, they're breaking the law. Because any Mexican, it is in the law right now, that's going to marry somebody from another country needs to ask for permission from the government. After that permission is submitted, then you need to provide all the documentation and information about you to the government and about the person you're going to marry. Once you get the permission, then you can marry. And they'll extend a permission voucher that will credit that you have married people from another country in a legal way according to Mexican law. Yes. Here in the US, you can go and marry anybody you want to, 20 times if you want to. They don't care. That's your problem. You face the legality of it. You don't need to tell Trump. You don't need to tell Obama. You don't need to tell anybody. The judge asks you if that's the person you're going to marry, you raise your hand and you get married. Religious wedding is a little different. Carries the same way because they issue the same license for matrimony. But the same thing for anybody else in the world except Mexico. What happens to our migrants is and this doesn't happen too much on land or by bus. It happens a little bit by bus, but usually by airport. They catch you catch your daughter or catch you with a abuelita, with a chino, with a person of a black, anybody that looks different than Mexican, they stop you. They ask you if you marry. They detect you when you get for the permission, the permit to enter Mexico, in migración. And they tell you that you broke the law. And they show you the law. And you broke the law. And they take from $15, $20 to $800. Otherwise, they're going to review it. You don't know what's going on. You think the laws are parallel to the ones in the US. You don't know what's going to happen. This is a federal entity, a federal official telling you that you broke a federal law and you are at fault. To avoid all that, you pay whatever you can, whatever they detect that you can pay without raising too much stink. There's migrants who have turned around in complete disgust, bought a ticket and come back. They don't want anything to do with Mexico. They're Mexicans. Their crime, according to existing law, is that they marry a foreigner. And even if you comply, the bureaucracy of papers, the bureaucracy that you have to go through, it's unbelievable. Only in Mexico. But right now it's happening and it's been happening for a while. And as they learn more, they prey on our migrants, on our heroes more. Those who are dreaming of coming back or showing their kids, their children, the land that they were born, the land that their parents were born, to show the spouses where they're from, to show them around Zacatecas, Querétaro, Guanajuato, Chihuahua, Coahuila, Campeche, whatever it is that our migrants come. They can't do that because they've been preyed on. As soon as they knock on the door to our beautiful country. It's not a Mexico problem, it's the Mexicans who created this law, which is still there, and nobody does anything about it until we make noise. But how many of them are going to be extorted? If they take a penny out of their pocket, it's not right. I don't care what it is. It's not right. But it's legal. Not for them to be extorted. But nobody from here who knows the laws here is going to raise his hands and says, okay, you know what? Go ahead and write the ticket. Take me in front of the judge. Go ahead and let's go through the process of me breaking the law. A law that I was not even aware. That a lot of people are not aware. There's 38 million migrants registered in the US. I'll take $1 from each of them. I got $38 million. That's the purpose of that law existing. The other law is that if a migrant left Mexico with a bank account, Calderon passed a law in which those dormant accounts, if they don't have any movement, they get absorbed by the government. When they come back, they left that money after selling their chivos, their parcela, their land, a little bit, just in case I can make it, I can cross, they grab me, they deport me. Usually the people at the lowest stratus, those are the people that are at most risk. And when they cross, they're not coming back next year or the year after. They usually, not all of them, but they usually take more than 3 years until the situation is fixed, or until they have enough money to come back, or until they get caught and deported or sent back. They're in the border, they go to Banorte, Banca Nacional, to any of those wonderful banking institutions, and they're told, I'm sorry, you don't have any money. The money's lost, the money's gone.
Terrible.
Those are the people that they face every day, those migrants. Who's going to support this guy who was just told to go through that grillete into the Mexican side and then goodbye? He's out there in the border alone. He's probably going to be prey from gangs, from La Judicial, from authorities in the border who they detect that these migrants came from the US, whether they have money or not with them. And then the little bit that they had in the bank is gone because of the law that Calderon passed with that purpose, because people in Mexico are not going to be leaving their accounts dormant that long. If there's money there, I'll go take it. Para que no me cobren o algo, you know, so they don't charge me. So is the migrants we call heroes. The president of Mexico calls them heroes. They sent 30 million, no.
Federico, what is your opinion about these topics?
See,
the
the
banks
remesas, because the remesas is the main money entering from outside. This government just recognized the fact and probably change the law of Banco de Mexico, Bank of Mexico, the central bank, in order to make it according to Ricardo Salinas Pliego Electra manager interest. That's a debate.
Okay. And you in Chicago?
Es por uno who was in the former governments of Mexico, ruling with this program on migrant issues. So that's a debate also. And today, this is the day of migrant, 8th of December. Today, the NGOs are moving on the Twitter, Facebook, and other spaces in order to remember the death of a lot of migrants who were inside the border, trespassing the border and died. As you can see, the Netflix great documentary called Immigration Nation. Also the new documentary on Selena and other documentaries on the migrant issues. So by now in Mexico, we have a new perspective of the next government of the United States, led by Joe Biden, Alejandro Mayorgas, who's going to lead the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and other Latinos inside. Maybe Luján from New Mexico is going to be in the cabinet. How do you say about this idea?
Manuel
Luján.
Castro, what is your opinion about these problems with the Mexicans in the border when they visit us, parents in Mexico?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's incredible. It's terrible. It's not acceptable at all. Probably the situation that you explained, I mean, is facing for thousands of people in a daily basis, and it's not acceptable. It's terrible. Probably it's the only part in the world where all these problems happen. You know, where when you cross the border to your motherland, or you come to visit the family, when you come to visit your father, your uncle, your cousins, you bring it your family to know where you're coming from, and you are bringing money to ignite the economy, and you are bringing, you know, a lot of stuff, and you are coming as a tourist or as a, you know, just to visit the family, and all this happen, you know, as I explained, and just because you are married with somebody, then you got to stop it right there in the border, and they start to asking you questions, and then you pass the first line, and then you're gonna, you know, another line and another kilometers, and then when you finally arrive to your town, and still you had a problem with the police, with the municipality police right there. You know, it's tired. You know, it's. I mean, I know people that in certain moment, as you mentioned, they were saying, you know, I don't want to return to Mexico, you know, anymore, or if I don't have to, I prefer not to do it because it's too complicated, it's too much stress, and there's a moment that I have a lot of friends in the community who is, you know, all the time they were dreaming to have their citizenship, you know, American citizenship, um, and finally when they have it, you know, they were here in the United States for 40 years, right? And finally they have it, the citizenship, and they can travel to Mexico to visit, you know, the little town where they were not there for more than 40 years. And they were dreaming, they go over there, they return, and they told me to me, I'm not going to return anymore. That's why, because it's not the same Mexico that I remember it was. It, of course not. You know, there was a, you came to United States 40 years ago, and in 40 years ago, there's a lot of change. You know, first of all, um, the violence is was increasing in the last 30, 40 years. The political system, there was a deterioration, you know, really bad deterioration, a lot of corruption, a lot of politicians, they're not doing their job. And if we added to that all the not understanding of what is immigration for the Mexican society and government, you know, in the end, the people that will say, well, you know what, if I don't need to go to Mexico, I prefer not to go. And that is sad, because that's a lot of things and potential. And I mean, and those connections, cultural, economic, artistic, you name it, they are there. I mean, it's not gonna be break, you know, that easily. But sometimes looks like between the Mexican government and the U.S. government, they try to make us, you know, our life more miserable. You know, sometimes we are thinking like that. I mean, you know, I mean, they don't really see it, our contribution in both countries, and they want to make our life miserable. Sometimes in the mañaneras or in the morning presidential news that they have it in the morning, they tell it all the time that we are heroes. I hear it, I like it, but sometimes I would like to have it like a more tangible, more in, you know, you feel it more in the street or when you are crossing the border. And that hero's perspective, in many situations, they are not there.
Thank you, Federico Campbel Peña.
Okay.
What are the first complaints that you heard about the Mexicans that visit us in the border?
Okay, because of the violence today, a caravana from paisanos just crossed the border in El Paso, Texas, Laredo, Texas, and just introduced it into Querétaro and Guanajuato states, protected by Guardia Nacional because high levels of violence on those states inside Mexico.
Entonces cuando en eso me bajaron a mí, entonces me hicieron otros tiros y me pegaron 4 garrotazos.
¿Te pegaron 4 garrotazos?
Sí.
¿Bajaron a tu amigo entonces?
Sí, bajaron al amigo mío y lo dejaron ahí botado, a ver si lo mataron.
Sí, lo mataron. ¿Pero tiraron 2 tiros? ¿Tiraron 2
sí,
tiros?
me hicieron 2 tiros en el suelo.
Oh, ¿sabes si tu amigo lo bajaron o se cayó o
Sí, lo bajaron a él.
¿Lo bajaron, se fue bajando?
Sí. A ver si... No, yo no lo volví a ver.
¿Cuántos eran?
Eran 3 ladrones.
¿Eran 3? ¿Los estaban encapuchados?
Sí, andaban encapuchados.
¿Quién? ¿Todos o uno?
No, los 3.
¿Los 3 andaban
sí,
encapuchados?
Sí.
¿Y se subieron ahí en el puente?
Sí, se subieron ahí en el puente, detrásito del puente.
¿Y tú cómo le hiciste para salir de ahí?
No, me tiré por un bejucal de arrastra por no darle la mochila, pero me robaron un anillo.
¿Te robaron un anillo y te golpearon?
Sí, me dieron 4 garrotazos.
4 garrotazos.
Disparos.
¿Y cómo te volviste a subir al tren?
Luchando como pude, me volví a trepar porque en eso el guardia me dijo que me trepara.
¿El guardia te dijo que te treparas?
Sí.
¿El guardia se dio cuenta que te habían asaltado?
Sí.
Ok, gracias.
Habían punchado el tren ellos.
¿Ellos pocharon el tren?
Sí, y el guardia pensando que yo lo había punchado y no, y yo como, y en el suelo me tenían a los ladrones para matar.
Oh, okay.
Sí.
¿De dónde eres tú?
De Honduras.
And also we want to remember Padre Pantoja, who lived the Saltillo Church to meet migrants, and he just died today, this Friday, in Saltillo because of COVID. Padre Pedro Pantoja. He was proposed to Peace Nobel Prize won.
Thank you, Federico. Well, it is probably the first program of a new series named La Hora del Migrante, co-produced by Federico Campbel Peña. Thanks. But I want to ask you some conclusions, Anthony Garfunkel.
Okay. We need to get the message out to as many people. A clear, concise message. You're not alone. You're a human being. There's no illegal human beings. You're not alone. If I don't have the answer, I'll find somebody who does. What did you need? A little different than what do you want? I want to go to the moon. Yeah, realistically, what do you need? What do they need? A clear message out there to our communities. It feels good if I'm going somewhere and somebody tells me, you're not alone. What do you need? What do I need? Well, I'm naked. I need clothes. I need shoes. I'm barefooted. I need a ride. I need a job. He doesn't have the answers. Okay.
Manuel Castro, please. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you again for having me. Well, I think what the kind of conclusion is, especially if we are talking about we are living here in the United States, and sooner or later we want to return to Mexico for a permanent retirement, or just returning for a tourist, or
we have some problems with your transmission. Please repeat 1 minute.
Yeah, I was saying that probably, one day we want to return for whatever reason, retirement or tourists, or just visit friends. I think we need it for the people in Mexico and the government to embrace, understand, and embrace, and try to get it that immigration, that is something that was in Mexico all this time. In the history in Mexico, there's plenty of examples of immigration. And this is the time probably when they need to understand that immigrants coming from the north or coming from the south, the immigration is gonna be here to stay. It's not gonna go away. They need to find a way to embrace the situation, embrace the people, and welcoming, and try to bring it inside of the society, because the immigrants, even from the north or the south, we're gonna be around it no matter what. Then they need to have a more clear policies and better understanding for who is the immigrants and why we are here.
Okay, the migrant policy in Mexico probably is going to change under Biden. Even is he's putting a halt on constructing the wall or not? Even he's changing in the first 100 days or not? Because there is not going to be more the pressure from Trump administration to the Mexican government. So here the Mexican migrant policy is going to change. In Tapachula is kind of ghetto of migrants from Central American and many Cubans and Africans from Africa. So it's going to be changed next year. That's we can see because of the news and the events as today's in Tijuana by Minister of Interior Alejandro Encinas, who promised another type of migrant policy for next year. We'll see. Okay, we'll be on that.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you, Anthony, Manuel Castro, Federico Campbell. I desire to see you again the next week if you can.
Okay,
That'll be great. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.